Hello, welcome to Toronto Bible Study. I'm your host, Mike Sampat, and today I wanted to talk to you about this video or some kind of short about the Joe Rogan show, from the Joe Rogan show. And it's just supposed to show you how Joe is just the king of the shells, and this is how they control the discussion, the kind of discourse in on the internet through their shows, So hang on, let me just show you this thing. Um,
Tau pull-ups.
Basically, the U.S. military was basically faking these bomb tests to freak out the Russians.
How did they fake it?
They just did, yeah, exactly.
So this is
exactly.
it?
Well, so there's a yeah. Okay, so here's a question, right? So what happened? Okay, so this is great. Okay, you'll love this. So what happened with the camera?
You son of a bitch. You son of a bitch. What happened
How
to
is
the
that
camera?
happening yet the camera's like totally stable and fine?
Oh my god.
And by the way, in the film is fine.
Oh my god.
This looks like how you shoot.
Well, by the way, okay,
miniature,
we'll do
like-
this one. We'll do the loop one more time here.
Oh,
okay.
it just showed
So
up.
wait a minute. First
It
of all,
wasn't there.
First of all, where'd the car
No
come
car.
from?
No car.
Second, does it really look like a
Car.
real, does that look like a real car?
That's insane. What?
Right. So like
The fucking car. Wow.
basically, the U.S. military was.
so what they're doing there? So they're showing you that footage of the so-called nuclear tests, right? And they're telling you that it was a lot of those nuclear tests were faked by the U.S. military to scare the Russians, And the reason they're showing you that. The reason they have to create that cover story is because, like, truthers online have long been aware that the nuclear weapons are fake, right? And they do it because of certain documentaries that came out and debunked those kinds of footages. So they're just showing you the same footage, and they're giving their story about it, right? And then, I mean, I was gonna show you the Joe Rogan Experience on Spotify to like show you how they talk about it, because it even gets into Jesus and stuff. But I'm wondering if they're gonna like copyright my video if I do that. So I just recommend you to go check out the Joe Rogan Experience. The guy he's watching here is named Mark Andreessen. Mark Andreessen. It's very recent. So if you go on Spotify, you'll see the list. It's within the last like 10 or 9 or 10 episodes. And yeah, check it out. The best times to look for the type of comments I'm talking about are around the 25-minute mark and around the 1 hour and 42-minute mark. So I would say watch around the 25-minute mark, watch for about 10-15 minutes, and you'll see how they try to mix their fake conspiracies to actually put down the real conspiracy theories, which are true, and yeah. But then, yeah, I don't want to show this because I know they're probably gonna copyright me, so it's just a waste of time. But I'll just show you this video. So you can go on BitChute and Google this: nuclear weapons do not exist, or just search this: Google nuclear weapons do not exist. Okay, check out this video. I'm showing you, because this is a compilation of a few different videos on nukes not existing. So I'm showing you the section which is one of the older and more famous videos on this subject, which is one of the most widely distributed ones, right? And then this one is the one that they show the same footage that Rogan was showing on his podcast there. Okay, and they explain it away as, oh, the government didn't want the Russians, wanted to scare the Russians, but it's just nonsense. They use these things to scare us, not the Russians. The Russians are on the same thing with their fake nukes. Hold on a sec.
Peace.
Do nuclear bombs exist? Your immediate answer is yes. But how do you know? During the mid-20th century, television and movie watchers were bombarded with imagery of what was purported to be atomic test footage. But what were they really watching? They couldn't rewind a videotape or rescan through a video on their computer. So what option did they have but to accept these images at their face value? Now we have opportunity to scrutinize these images to see if they hold up to analysis. Take a look at these trees.
So that's the same.
Now what was that?
Yeah.
And who
That's
turned
the same footage
So what
there
option do they have but
that
to
Rogan
accept
had
these
on his
images at their
show.
face
Oh, no,
value?
maybe not that one.
Now
It was
we have
another one.
opportunity to
But you'll
scrutinize
see
these
it.
images to see if they hold up
Oh,
to
that one.
analysis.
That's the one.
Take a look at these trees. Now what was that? And who turned the camera? They're in awfully straight lines, aren't they? Now this must be a different blast because it's coming from a different direction. Wait, now they've put it back. But those are the same trees we saw in the first clip, aren't they? And now this. First they showed us these trees that they panned left on. Then they show us these trees that look like they should be next to a model train. Notice how straight the rows are. It looks artificial to me. Then they show us these trees again. Where's the forward camera? And then back to these trees again. And then they show us what looks to be a real forest that's been chopped down or torn down. Now take a look at this. It's footage of the first H-bomb test called Ivy Mike. Watch how it changes. That's a composite.
See this one? This is very similar. That look that you see there, with it looks like a bubble with like little sections inside the bubble. This is very similar to the nuclear or atomic bomb effect they used in the movie Oppenheimer. This just come out. So they're trying to make this seem like legit. This is what a nuclear bomb really looks like. And that other thing, they're gonna say, "Oh, that was fake. That was just fake to scare the Russians," you know. But they're gonna try to say that this is what it really looks like, but it's not.
That's a composite. Then it morphs into this. It looks like a completely separate explosion. Now take a look at the frame before the explosion and then the one after. These frames were cut together. Why? Then this frame was cut to this, which looks like the sun to me. It looks like they're zooming in on the sun. Maybe a composite because the clouds aren't moving. Then they introduced some sort of liquid. It looks like a laboratory concoction in composite with the sun. Next is Operation Dominic Fireballs in the Yukon. What does that look like to you? Watch it again. It's the sun. Now here's Operation Greenhouse. These guys are getting all ready to see what looks to be the sun again. The sun seems to start to expand. Maybe it's being zoomed in on. They worship the sun after all, Lucifer. So why wouldn't they use him as their greatest weapon? And who headed up the whole program? None other than J. Robert Oppenheimer of the Oppenheimer family, who is reputed to have been the original financiers who got the Rothschilds started in Frankfurt, Germany in the 18th century.
He should do his duty, and to impress him, takes on his multi-armed form and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds."
You're thinking, what about Hiroshima?
That's Oppenheimer quoting from the Bhagavad Gita, which is a Hindu text. But it's because he's an occultist, you know. They worship those ancient deities, you know. So that's the only reason he did that. And that became a famous quote because Freemasons run the world and they worship those ancient pagan deities. That's why even if you go to CERN, there's a statue there with Vishnu as well, you know, or one of those gods, one of those multi-armed gods, you know, or Shiva, or yeah, sorry, not Vishnu, Shiva. But anyway,
The armed form and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds."
You're thinking, what about Hiroshima? Is that Hiroshima? Is that Hiroshima? That looks like Hiroshima, but it looks like it's been carpet bombed. Check out this image of Rotterdam. Was that a nuclear bomb? Now compare it to this image of Hiroshima. Actually, this isn't Hiroshima, it's Tokyo after firebombing in 1945. If you accept that FDR...
yeah, you see, if you look at pictures of what Tokyo looked like after being firebombed, and what Hiroshima and Nagasaki looked like after supposedly being atomic bombed, you can see they look exactly the same. And actually, if you look earlier in this same video, nuclear weapons do not exist. Earlier in the same video, there's another video that was, because this is a composite of a bunch of different videos. So earlier in this same video, there's there's a video where they show some of that stuff, so it's worth checking out. But yeah, if you compare what Hiroshima looked like, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, what they look like after being supposedly atomic bombed, and then compare it to what Tokyo looked like, which we all know it was firebombed, right? Because the cities out there are made of like a lot of paper and wood and stuff, so it's very easy to just burn everything. So that's why. Oh, sorry.
FDR might have had foreknowledge of the bombing. Actually, this isn't Hiroshima, it's Tokyo after firebombing in 1945. If you accept that FDR might have had foreknowledge of the bombing at Pearl Harbor, maybe you might want to leave room for the possibility that his propaganda machine might have created the myth of atomic bombs. There's no question that the powers that be have ballistics with tremendous explosive capacity. But this shot, for example, could easily be high-volume dynamite. And what are we looking at here? Take a look at this house again.
See, this is the house. This is the house.
Blow it to
Oh,
smithereens.
sorry. This is the house that they were looking at on the Joe Rogan show. The same footage that they were looking at. That I showed you in that short clip. Now, if you look at the Joe Rogan show, I wish I could talk a little bit about that, because the way they were talking, it's so obvious that they're trying to just give us a story about all these obvious conspiracy theories. They're trying to give their explanation of why all these rock stars are like related to these big military guys. Like Jim Morrison's dad was like one of the leaders of the Vietnam War and stuff, you know? And it's because the whole reason why they wanted to use Jim Morrison was to like control our culture in this satanic way, you know? But the story that Joe Rogan and them are giving is that, oh, that's just how things happen. It's because, you know, anyway, I would recommend watching the video with Joe Rogan and Mark Andreessen, but just always remember that they are both just Illuminati shills, you know? They're literally throwing hand signs and stuff, but it's very subtle. They're very good at it. Andreessen is very good. But Rogan's obviously acting. When he acts like he never saw this video and he's like, "Whoa, oh, the car wasn't there." He's just acting. He's just pretending. He's seen this video. He knows that there's many people who think nukes are fake. He talks about it in that video. But he talks about it like it's stupid, right? But actually, no, it's not stupid. It makes more sense. That's why they've never dropped any other nukes or bombs or atomic bombs or anything since Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And their story is, oh, if they did it, then there'd be mutually assured destruction because the Russians would start throwing their bombs, and then we'd throw bombs, and then the whole world would be destroyed. So that's why there's no nuclear war. But it's because they don't have nukes, you know? It's just a made up thing. It's just completely made up garbage. Okay? There was no radiation after they dropped the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. No radiation, nothing. Everybody just moved right back in, started their life again. There was no problem. Nothing. And they'll try to say there was higher cancer rates. Well, that's debatable too, but I won't get into that. That's complicated, but anyway. It's a bunch of nonsense.
Wasn't strong enough to even shake the camera. And look how high up the camera position is.
Now, this video that we're watching, like I say, the video that we're watching here is a composition of a bunch of different videos, right? But this particular section, the original video, is like 15 years old, okay? Or maybe not 15, maybe more like at least minimum like 10 years old. Minimum. Okay? Probably more than 10. Because I remember seeing it that long ago. And so now I don't think it was new when I saw it. I think it was pretty old when I saw it. But I'm just saying, like, these ideas, they've been around for a while. So Rogan knows very well about all this stuff. He knows this argument very well. He knows it's probably true. Or whatever he knows, you know? The point is, they told him what to say here, and he's saying what he's saying on a script. You know? Or in that video that I showed you.
Are we looking at another model? Now look at this bus and this car. Whatever's blowing them up is not moving the camera. And this building seems to blow up from the inside. Everything gets blown every which way except for the camera. Except look in this shot, it seems to tilt up a little bit.
Yeah, so they make a model, then they put the little explosive inside the model. Then they have some fans or something blowing the wind. And then they film it with the wind blowing, and then they blow up the model from inside the model. They explode it. And all that works out to look like this.
Now this is one of my favorites. Watch the two guys behind the glass. Who's filming him? Isn't he being exposed to all that rocket fuel? Anyways, I'm not trying to convince anyone of anything. If you're hell-bent on believing that they can blow up the world at the push of a button, then go ahead. But next time you hear a politician justifying the invasion of a country based on the fact that they supposedly have weapons of mass destruction, realize that they're not only lying about the other country supposedly possessing weapons of mass destruction, they also may be lying about the very existence of weapons of mass destruction.
Do North Korea have nukes? Are the Iranians?
Anyway, so that's another movie that has those kind of in that video, do nukes exist or whatever, they have a bunch of videos, right? And so that's just another video that was about to play. But I would recommend that video to start off in your research on this topic if you're interested in it. Nuclear weapons do not exist, on the channel EWOD, and that's on BitChute. But there's another one about something like that, the nuke hoax or something like that, which is got mostly Eric Dubé. Eric Dubé, as soon as he heard about this thing, he got in and he just pretended like he's the one that discovered it or something like that, or he's just acting like he figured it all out. But obviously, what he does normally is just he takes a bunch of other people's work and he just puts it together and acts like he did it, you know? Which is a lot of work itself, but you shouldn't act like you did all the work, you know? But anyway. So Eric Dubé is a shill, obviously, so I'm not saying you can't get good information from these people, but it's very dicey. You gotta be careful what you believe and what you don't believe, right? But yeah, I just wanted to put that one out there about nukes. Nukes don't exist, they're fake. And there's no threat of a nuclear war with Russia because of the Ukraine or anything. That's not a threat. They cannot blow up the world at the push of a button, as that young man said there. They can't do it because that's impossible, and only God decides when our human existence is going to be over. He decides that. Okay. Now, does nuclear power exist? That's another question. That's interesting. Not entirely sure about how all that works either. I would say it's certainly possible that there's some kind of nuclear power that they're able to generate, like heat up water and boil water using this type of energy, but that they can't actually make a bomb out of it. Maybe, or maybe nuclear power is some kind of fake thing too. I'm not really sure. But I'm telling you right now, nuclear weapons are fake and don't believe it. Okay? Thanks for watching. Toronto Bible Study. Hallelujah.